Nearly 5 million people are close to famine as the Sudanese civil war completes a year, leaving people to survive on dirt and leaves. Millions of people are in need of aid as a result of political upheaval. Let's examine how the Sudanese people got to the situation. Sudan has a long history of political instability dating back to the 1950s. People in Sudan have always wanted a more democratic government, but they faced challenges. The Sudan Civil War started in 1955 because of differences between regions and neglect from the government. After sporadic fighting until 1972, a temporary peace was agreed upon. But in 1983, conflict erupted again when the government tried to enforce strict Islamic laws. This sparked the Second Sudanese Civil War, lasting until 2005. Millions suffered from displacement, hunger, and abuse by government forces and rebels. It was one of the longest and most violent conflicts in the world. In April 2023, fighting resumed in Khartoum, the capital city, between different armed groups, raising fears of a return to full-scale civil war.
رسالتي الأولى للفريق أول عبد الفتاح البرهان وقادة الجيش السوداني وللفريق أول محمد حمدان دقلو وقادة الدعم السريع يجب أن يتوقف الرصاص فوراً ويجب أن يحكم صوت العقل فالخسارة ستكون من نصيب الجميع ولا يوجد منتصر على جثث شعبه.
The conflict is mainly a struggle for power between leaders of the Sudanese armed forces led by General Abdel Fattah al-Burhan and Mohammed Hamdan Hamidti Dagalo, leading a powerful paramilitary group known as the Rapid Support Forces.
I strongly condemn the outbreak of fighting that is taking place in Sudan and appeal to the leaders of the Sudanese armed forces and the Rapid Support Forces to immediately cease hostilities, restore calm, and begin a dialogue to resolve the crisis.
As the fighting continues, conditions for people worsen and hopes for a democratic transition fade. And it's said, when two people fight for power in government, it's common people who suffer.
نحن كشباب سودانيين جايين من خرطوم الكويت يعني اليوم كله ضرب مدور فطبعا احنا ما كنا دايرين الحاجه دي للسودان احنا كنا بنحلم ان السودان ده يكون احسن لكن بس الحمد لله ان شاء الله.
Since the start of the civil war, many people have fled the country to Egypt or South Sudan, and those who can't were left to fend for themselves in refugee camps built across the country. Hunger and starvation are spreading across Sudan as the war that erupted in April last year between the Sudanese army and the paramilitary Rapid Support Forces shows no sign of abating. Parts of Sudan are on the brink of famine, a brewing crisis that is man-made. Agriculture has been ravaged as farmers have had their harvested crops stolen by the forces and fled their lands due to the violence. Hunger, not just fighting, is now driving displacement as people leave homes in search for food. Malaria and other diseases are spreading among the displaced.
The major conditions that are seen at the health facility include respiratory tract infections, diarrhea, measles, and of late we are seeing more cases of malaria.
Key aid hubs have been looted by the RSF and its allied militias. And international aid arriving in Sudan is being blocked by the military from reaching people in areas where starvation has set in. As international aid efforts strive to reach those in need, the reality on the ground is grim.
Targeted ethnic violence, the burning of villages, mass murder and fleeing civilians, that was Darfur 2 decades ago. And now this nightmare is unfolding again. Why? We all know it's because those responsible for the crimes were never forced to answer for them.
Despite the influx of aid, much of it falls into the hands of warring factions, leaving millions in Sudan without the crucial assistance they so desperately require. The situation is dire, with nearly 18 million people facing acute food insecurity and approximately 5 million teetering on the brink of famine. Tragically, in some regions, the effects of starvation are already claiming lives, with reports of one child succumbing to illness and malnutrition every 2 hours in displacement camps like Zamzam in North Darfur, according to Doctors Without Borders. The situation in Sudan gives a clear picture of the devastating consequences of prolonged conflict and political instability. From the roots of Sudan's civil war in the 1950s to the recent escalation of violence and humanitarian crisis, the people of Sudan have suffered greatly. Despite occasional peace efforts, the cycle of conflict continues, exacerbating hunger, displacement, and casualties. Failure of international aid to reach those in need demonstrates the urgent need for a coordinated and effective response to address the root causes of the crisis. As the world watches, the plight of millions of people in Sudan is a stark reminder of the human cost of political turmoil and the need for continued peace and stability in the region. Sudan, which is facing the world's largest hunger crisis, is drawing little global attention. For more news and updates, keep following India Today Global.